You're watching Zoo Tours, the channel that takes you on a virtual field trip to the zoo. In Michigan's Detroit Zoo, you're invited to climb aboard a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, a journey filled with wonder, history, and great risks. The Penguin Conservation Center opened its icy doors in 2016 at 33,000 square feet. The zoo claims this is the largest penguin complex on the planet. It's a multi-leveled, multi-sensory experience that doesn't just show you the world of the penguin that everyone knows and loves, but reminds you how unforgiving the southern hemisphere can be. Now, before we enter this beautiful black and white realm, if this is your first time here, please consider liking, subbing, and hitting that bell icon so you can officially become a member of this zoo crew. Within just a few steps into the zoo, there's a great chance that the Penguin Center will catch your attention, not just because it's the first exhibit in the zoo, but because the zoo says the building sparkles in the sunlight. The stark, jagged exterior resembles the look of a monolithic tabular iceberg. The structure is covered in 6,800 panels, covered in custom-coated solar reflective paint, specifically invented for this project. In between the crevasse is a 25-foot tall waterfall that emulates melting ice. If the spray doesn't flow too far onto the guest path, it's a lot easier to make out the map of the southern hemisphere, depicting Antarctica and the southern parts of South America and Australia. And if you look all around this long stone bench, it's covered in flags of every country that's part of the Antarctic Treaty. When you walk in, you're not met with bone-chilling temperatures and the sounds and smells of seabirds. Rather, you're first given a history lesson. The Conservation Center's theme and design was based around Irishman Sir Ernest Shackleton's 1914 voyage, when he and his crew attempted to cross the Antarctic continent from one coast to the other, on foot and with the help of the Endurance. But more on that later, because you came along this legendary voyage of your own to Detroit to see penguins. Even if you've somehow never come across one before, you'd still get the feeling this goes far beyond your average frozen penguin paradise. While visitors can admire these squawking tuxedos from a comfortable room temperature gallery, the nearly 80 gentoos, rockhoppers, kings, chin straps, and macaronis live for a cozy 37 degrees Fahrenheit. It's not entirely noticeable from this perspective, but this one exhibit not only portrays two different kinds of landscapes, but two different continents. I love how the sign above this view specifies this is the South America side, letting visitors know that just because a penguin lives in cold conditions doesn't mean they're necessarily naturally from Antarctica. So, what's the other continent? We have to get to the other side to find out. When I said you're invited to climb aboard a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, I really meant it. This is a 145-foot wide, 20-foot tall, 360-degree POV projection that places you on Ernest Shackleton's ship, the Endurance, and its voyage through the Drake Passage. An experience brought alive by 5 laser projectors, hurricane fans, and 9 water nozzles. Eventually, the days become nights. The stars shine, the sea is calm, and if you listen closely, the mood is set by the wearing of the green. It's a breathtaking scene, but like reality, even a projection of the Drake Passage isn't always so kind. The oak lumber used to make the ramps was actually reclaimed and salvaged from old barns found around Detroit, milled in the late 1800s. making this wood the exact same kind and age as the lumber used on the Endurance. As the destructive storm puts the Endurance's endurance to the test, you can take shelter below deck. The middle level is lined with 6 underwater portals on the ship's port side and starboard, letting you get a really close look at other cold water species, sometimes too close for comfort. Terns hunting and diving into the water, orcas, humpback whales, jellies, a giant squid, and a very curious leopard seal. Alongside the orca, they are the penguin's greatest threatened water. I like to say the Penguin Conservation Center is a museum that just happens to have penguins. The educational display about Shackleton on the first floor, 4D projection of the Endurance, and the bottom floor takes you back in time to a galleria stocked with real-life prints of his expedition. His goal was to be the first to traverse the entire mainland of Antarctica. However, the Endurance became trapped in ice. The crew eventually made the daring decision to move on foot on the drifting ice and row on a lifeboat in the open seas in search of help. After months of battling the constant threat of starvation, Shackleton and crew encountered Norwegian whalers on Elephant Island who sailed and saved these voyagers to South America. That awe-inspiring tale motivated this center's designers to go the extra mile. We've seen penguins at our ground level, from our left and to our right, and even from below. But there are so few zoos and aquariums in the entire world that let these birds do all 4, putting you on the floor of this 25-foot deep, 326,000-gallon saltwater pool. Obviously, creating something unique was most likely one of the reasons the Detroit Zoo put all of this together. But this perspective is also educational. This view lets you see why all penguins have this specific color pattern, a two-toned countershade that acts as camouflage. Their top half is dark. When seen from above, they blend in with the dark waters below. Their bottom half is lighter, so when seen from below, they're supposed to blend in with the sunlit waters above the birds. Unless, of course, it's too bright, then their silhouettes kind of give them away. The lower floor actually features 2 tunnels separated by 1 viewing plaza. If you'd like to watch the penguins with some privacy, there's a small cutout in the wall fit for 1 that walks you into the tank and puts you next to the first tunnel. If the tunnels were not part of this exhibit, then the most impressive part would be the center's largest window that spans from the floor to the ceiling, almost the same height as the tank's depth, and it weighs 37,000 pounds. But that's not all. Towards the top, you can see a series of rotational graphics, as if they're being projected inside the tank. These graphics display what penguins eat, what penguin is fastest, and as I just mentioned, how they're able to blend in with their surroundings. As you begin to resurface, you're positioned right underneath what the zoo calls one of nature's greatest spectacles, another video and sound projected map that depicts an iceberg calving, where icebergs split and send massive cascades of ice crashing into the sea. Now, I said it wouldn't be easy, but it was well worth the journey to get to the other side of this exhibit, though it doesn't look like it at first glance. I also said it portrays 2 different landscapes in 2 different continents. The gray rocky shores of South America by the first window transitions into icy, snowy, and clearly a hostile environment that represents Antarctica, completing this captivating and unforgettable experience through the Detroit Zoo's Polk Penguin Conservation Center. Whether or not you've ever seen one in person, penguins have probably been a part of your life in some way. Their clumsy but lovable antics are why they're so well represented in media. They're one of the most commonly displayed animals in zoos and aquariums across the globe. and they number in the tens of millions. So you might think there's no sense of urgency to conserve them, at least yet. However, penguins still face a great number of threats. While kings, chinstraps, and gentoos may be classified as least concern, southern rockhoppers and macaronis are listed as vulnerable, which is one step away from endangered. They're no stranger to commercial overfishing that reduces their access to food. Along with oil spills, this penguin center perfectly evokes the harsh and visceral world of the southern hemisphere, combining the struggles of human explorers of the past with struggles that penguins are facing in their very own changing world in the wild. Along with several other exhibits around this park, the Penguin Conservation Center is a testament to education and wildlife preservation. And that, my friends, will close out another epic episode of another mind-blowing attraction. So please stay tuned for the next one. Remember to support your local zoo or aquarium. And as always, thank you for watching Zoo Tours.